All right, here we go. Welcome to this edition of the Showcasing College Baseball podcast powered by College Recruit Prep. I'm your host, Ross Hawley, and I want to thank you for spending some time with us wherever you might be watching or listening from. If this is your first time with us, welcome. Go give us a follow on our Facebook group page at Showcasing College Baseball or visit us on the World Wide Web at collegerecruitprep.com. Today's episode is brought to you by Armilla Tech, pioneers in sports communication technology. Imagine a world where every play call is crystal clear, secure, and executed with precision. That's the world Armilla Tech has created. Trusted by top coaches across North America, Armilla Tech's innovative electronic play calling system is transforming how football, baseball, and softball games are being played one play at a time. Visit armillatech.com for more information. Now on to today's episode. It's Friday, February 16th, 2024. And anyone who loves baseball as much as we do knows what today is. It's opening day at the NCAA Division I level. Hallelujah! And in honor of opening day 2024, I thought it would make a lot of sense to have a chat with one of the best in the business, head baseball coach of the Texas State University Bobcats, Mr. Steven Trout. From a season preview on his Texas State squad to the recruiting advice he has for high school baseball players, we covered it all. Here's my interview with Coach Steven Trout of Texas State University. All right, Coach Trout with Texas State, the Texas State Bobcats. Guys, we are lucky enough to be talking to one of the best in the business right now today. So, Coach Trout, I just want to welcome you to the Showcasing College Baseball podcast. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're a week away from game day, so it's that time of year where coaches don't get a lot of sleep and start stressing about bunt defenses and roster management and everything in the middle of the night. But yeah, excited to get it going next week, and appreciate you having me on.
So that's awesome to hear about that, because you know what you said, bunt defenses, and I'm thinking first and third coverages. I was out at my son's practice the other day, and they were working on bunt defenses, and they're bunt one, bunt two. So I'm curious, just as we get rolling in this, tell me about the real stresses about as you guys are firing this season up. I know that you guys always have a target on your back in this area of the country. One of the more respected programs in the country. What are the things that you stress about going into the season?
Yeah, so really, we spend the whole fall and majority of the spring, as I say, we work on the meat and potatoes every day, and that's obviously the playing baseball. And so we don't get into a lot of the bunt defenses and all the the special plays, as we call them. We kind of run our base defense 95% of the time, right? And so for majority of the year, I just want to watch our guys play and just keep playing baseball, kind of let the game come to them, just kind of let things happen, and they're great teaching moments when they do, and give them the basics. And then now we're just getting ready for the situation, as I tell them, when we're going to run a will play or a special pick play, and we run that literally 1% of the time in a bunt defense. And so, but you want to have it all in. I think the job of a coach is to have your team prepared for every single situation possible. And, if you put something on, one, they need to know it. And then two, more importantly, they got to know how to execute it. And so, but now there's so many rules now with the timing clock and the technology we use to get our plays in. And there's just a lot of different things that go into it besides just coming out and putting on the sign and getting after it like the old school days, right? So that's it. Just making sure you have everything covered. And, every inter squad, there's another play or another situation that arises that go, man, I haven't covered that yet. So I need to make sure I get in there the next day and dissect it. And, we try to, as simple as it sounds, I feel like some guys still don't understand all the rules of baseball, like just some of the general, like just the other day, I went back through the infield fly rule because it scares me every time coaching third base pop up. It's like, hey, what happens? And I start trying to quiz them on different things. And majority of them know it. It's just probably me stressing myself out going, if it's, 4,000 fans against A&M at home and that happens, does my guy at second base freak out and take off running, right? So you just want to prepare them for every moment, every rule. And sometimes for coaches, you got to go back through the rules yourself and make sure you have them all. So, yeah, that's kind of what we're doing right now, and feel pretty good about it with a week to go.
Man, and you guys open up next weekend. You got a 3-game set against Youngstown State. And I was taking a look at your non-conference, because Texas State plays in the Fun Belt, the Sun Belt Conference, which is fantastic, excellent competition. But man, I was looking at your at your pre-conference or your non-conference, holy cow. I mean, you guys, it kind of made me nervous. Like, I know that's what you want, but talk to me about that. I mean, some of the teams on that non-conference, Texas, LSU, we got big time programs. Talk to me a little bit about your season expectations and what you're thinking in that non-conference scheduling stuff.
Yeah, ever since 2016, when I came back to work for Coach Harrington, he actually, gave me the keys to the schedule, and he was like, "Hey, I want you to work on this because eventually you'll probably be doing this yourself and all the above." So I appreciate him letting me go through that, and always getting his okay for things. And so I kind of saw how to build a schedule. The beauty of the Sun Belt is, now we're not chasing a whole lot of RPI. It seems like anymore. Last year it seemed like every weekend series we're playing, top 100 RPI teams in our conference. And, if they weren't that far down to where you were going to lose a lot of points. And so that's been a big change that's really helped out that, every weekend you're not chasing points and chasing RPI points. And so, but non-conference, we get the 4 non-weeks, the non-weekends. We usually try to grab a team from up north to come down and play every year to get in the warmth. We've been scheduled to play in the Round Rock tournament, which I've been wanting to play in for a long time. Obviously an hour down the road, roughly, get a lot of fans there and play in that beautiful ballpark. We were having actually Grand Canyon come in week 3 because we went out there last year. They were going to return the trip. But Minute Maid called late and they're like, "Hey, we lost a team. We need to add a team in. Are you in?" And, I've learned pretty quick in this business when tournaments like that ask you to come play, you say yes, and you just try to figure it out. And so I got with the other coaches that I was planning to play and said, "Hey, I need to move you back a year," and appreciate their help on doing that. And so I forgot to ask, who are we playing? And they said, "Oh, you got Houston, Texas, and LSU." I was like, "Awesome, here we go. Let's go get after it." And then we ended with a great San Houston team, which will be an old Southland Conference rivalry back in San Marcos. And so, and even our non-conference, obviously, we're in a great part of the country, the great state of Texas, where we're not traveling very far for midweek games. I think the farthest we travel is up to Fort Worth to play TCU. So just a lot of really good quality opponents, really close to the house. And so, for us, at the end of the day, we're trying to get to 40 wins. But, I feel like if you have a really good RPI, you don't necessarily have to get to 40 wins. But for me, I want to challenge our group. Before we get into conference, I want to see how good are we? And, the goal of our program is to make the NCAA tournament. And then once we get there, try to make some noise. And if you're going to make some noise in that thing, 1, to even get there, but 2, once you're there, to make some noise, these are the teams you're going to have to beat. If you're not hosting a regional, you're probably going to go to, Texas or A&M. I never thought Stanford, but we did that too. Or LSU. So if you want to do that, you got to go play the best, and you want to measure up where we are. And, if you win, that's amazing, obviously, for your program. If you lose, you learn from it and you figure out, how do we take the next step to make sure that doesn't happen again? If that's on the field, if that's even, from a recruiting aspect or from a, coaching philosophy aspect, a lot of things go into it. But at the end of the day, to me, it's a win-win because we're measuring ourselves.
Yeah, Coach. Again, talking with Coach Steven Trout with the Texas State Bobcats here, and I love knowing that I understand how you guys, the program that you guys have built there is just the type of guys you recruit. I mean, you get elite dudes. You guys are getting some dudes down there. Just a fantastic program. So I'm curious to know, this time of year, what are your typical recruiting activities this time of year as you guys are gearing up for the season? I'm guessing your main focus is on your guys out on the field and who you got out playing for you right now. But talk me through kind of what your typical recruiting activities are for this time of the year.
Yeah, to me, I think every program that you see having success, it all starts with recruiting, right? You got to bring in the best players in the state or the best players in the country to be the best. And so we can be the best coaches in the world, but if we don't have the guys to go to work with and the guys that are you're winning recruiting battles in, it's usually the guys that win the recruiting battles find a way to win on the field too. It's funny how that works out, right? So, yeah. But at this point in time, you're exactly right. We're putting all of our time and effort into our team, trying to figure out, like I said, our personnel, our lineups, things we're doing at practice, and then at night making those phone calls. Keeping up with our high school guys on how they're doing. Obviously, they're starting their seasons up and starting their practice up, making sure they're healthy and checking in with them. We get to go back out March 1st. And so, of course, a lot of junior colleges has started up and they're playing. And so you're just, beating up the phones, trying to figure out, hey, who's playing well, who's not. trying to figure out maybe some guys we need to go see as soon as they allow us to go out and watch games. And so just trying to, look at our team, see what our holes might be for next year, and try to go figure out what we need to go cover once they open up. But even when they open it up, besides maybe a Monday or a Wednesday, I really don't like my guys missing games at all. I want our whole staff to go all in for every game that we have. We only get 56 guaranteed, and so my entire staff's there for every game. And so we never put recruiting on the back, but it's definitely when we have a game day, my guys are there and we're getting after it, and we're trying to do everything we can to make this team the most successful they can, and then go to work on recruiting after that.
I love that. I love the fact that you have your whole coaching staff there on game days. There's some programs that don't do that. Just FYI for all you people out there listening. I'm curious how, and I know it's probably ad nauseum. You probably talked about this, but I'm curious how the transfer portal has affected a program like Texas State.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, right? You always used to battle the high school and the junior college recruiting and try to measure that out. Are we grabbing too many JUCO guys or too many high school guys, and trying to plan that out? And then now, all of a sudden here comes this portal where, it's just another avenue to go grab guys. And, I think with the draft being as late as it is, it's made it even tougher to figure out, your personnel heading into that season. And so, sometimes you're signing guys all the way up until, August, right before they come on campus a few weeks after that. And so, maybe you get a surprise in the draft, or a guy signs, or, and then sometimes a guy doesn't sign or doesn't get drafted. And then you got to figure that out as well. And so there's a lot of things that go into it. And so, we use the portal exactly how we use kind of junior college is, we're just trying to grab a veteran guy to come in and fill a void that we feel like is a necessity right now. And, we always want to build our program with really good high school players. I'm a big fan of our high school class we have on campus right now. We only have 6 of them. We kind of went smaller with it because of where we were in our program for this current team. But I feel like we found some really good players in that. So to me, I think if you look at it, you got to build it with high school players and then supplement with the junior colleges and the transfer portal guys. And so we've grabbed a couple every year. And so I don't think we'll ever live by the portal where, we're just, canning the high school guys and just going straight portal guys. But, you got to search through it, and you find a diamond in the rough, or you find that really good player that just really loves your program, then you go grab him. And anything you do to make your program better and your team better, you obviously have to go do.
Man, well said. Well said. So let me kind of walk this back and just for our audience out there listening to Coach Trout with Texas State Bobcats here today. I'm curious how it starts with you. Like, and I know there's probably a ton of kids that want to play for Texas State, but for you and your staff, take me through like the typical sequence of events when recruiting a player, start to finish. How do you identify them? When do you start talking to them? Do you cross-check with coaches? All of that stuff, Coach.
Yeah, great question. I think, for us, I actually really enjoy the new rules they implemented with NCAA that we can't start talking to guys till, August 1 of their junior year. To me, it's really slowed down probably just the mindset of, hey, I can actually work on building, this maybe just 2 classes at a time instead of having to worry about trying to build 4 classes at a time. And so, if you're out watching a game and you see a freshman play and you go, hey, that's a really good player, you're not worried about trying to get him to call you and all that stuff anymore because it's illegal. So, maybe you write his name down and go, hey, in 2 years, I need to follow up to figure out who this guy was. So to me, I really like that rule has changed. And then, the next piece for us is I feel like one of the law starts in recruiting because it's such a fast paced game we're going to beat the phones up. We're going to talk to our people we know. Obviously we're out watching games. But to me, I feel like when you get leads on guys from people you trust, there's something about that. There's something said for that of, hey, we're getting the right player, and this guy probably has seen him play more times than we have. And they see him at practice, or they see him at games, or they see him off the field. And so usually, we've built that up of the guys that we really trust. And we take flyer on guys as well, and we're gonna go see them. But to me, the biggest key is we want to do our homework on who we're bringing into our program, and I think that's something that we do a great job. My staff does a great job of figuring out not only what person or what player we bring into our program. Do we just see him on the right day, or is he consistently the best player in the field all the time? Or also, who are we bringing in our program? What kind of person are we bringing in our program, right? What kind of background do they come from? What kind of, who's their family? How hard do they work? Do their high school coaches like them? Do their select coaches like them? Are they good students? Just the whole, as I tell them all the time, I'm not just bringing you to my program, I'm bringing you into my family. So I want to make sure I'm bringing the right family members in to go to work with, because we spend more time with them in the spring than we do with our own kids and our own family. And so to me, that's really important. So we're building a great team, obviously, but to me, I want to build a great program. And to do that, you want to build it with great people. And so we do a lot of homework, like I said, calling the high school coaches, calling the select coaches. Obviously, if it's junior college or portal guys, we're calling everybody we can get our hands on to figure out, hey, does anybody have anything bad to say about this guy? Or is everybody on board? And it's pretty awesome when they all check off and go, man, you're getting not just an awesome player, but you're getting a great person as well. And you're going to love everything about him. Then, to me, those are the slam dunks you bring in and you try to make it happen.
Man, that's good stuff, Coach Trout. I want to stay on that topic here, because I think for so many people that have this desire, okay, so I think most kids that play baseball growing up, they want to play big time baseball. And I think some folks, not to their, it's not a negative thing, but they don't understand the different levels at the college level. And man, it's really hard to be a Division I baseball player, especially at the level of a Texas State. Okay. So in a positive way, what are the qualities? Like, what does it take to get your attention? The physical qualities, the intangible qualities, what does it take to kind of pop out to a Texas State coach?
Yeah, I think if you're any really good program out there, and I think the key is in this day and age, I mean, there's so many talented kids out there, right? I mean, you just get on Twitter or Instagram or anything, and you see 92, 93, and it's like, holy cow, like, how has this game turned into this? And it's awesome. I mean, some people are like, man, there's too much going on. I'm like, yeah, that's why the game's at a different level than it's ever been before, because these high school players, they're more talented than they ever been, right? And they have more resources from a young age than they've ever had before, right? They're lifting weights and they're in these facilities nonstop working on their game. Where when I played, I was playing 3 sports and getting a lift in every once in a while. You felt like you got one a week. You're like, man, I'm getting swole here. So, but you were just trying to figure out how to make it all work out. And you didn't have all these private, people that were specialized in developing baseball players in the weight room, speed, agility, all arm strength, all the above. So, to me, like, the physical traits are going to stand out, right? I think that's the beauty of like camps. Like, you're going to see the metrics add up. But for us, we just want really good baseball players. And I think that's one thing that's we've hit the nail on the head a lot in recruiting is, the physical traits are awesome. Like the toolsy guys, awesome. The really good baseball players are the ones that make it, especially in the college game. And so to me, I want those guys that are just really good baseball players. Maybe their 60 isn't a 6'4", but they can really play the game. And when the lights come on, they kind of take their game to that different level. And so that's why we try to watch guys play a lot to figure out which guys are those guys, right? The guy that can hit it really far in BP in those workouts, and they get in the game and they strike out 9 times and they finally square one up. To me, those guys, they're going to struggle at our level. And so the physical traits are important, but to me, we're just looking for really, really good baseball players. Same thing on the mound, right? If a guy's 95, that's really fun and really awesome to go see, and it's fun to watch. But is he getting outs, right? Is he actually getting guys out consistently all the time? And so sometimes we'll leak more towards the guy with the lesser velo because he's getting more outs than the guy with more velo. And so to me, you're going to take some flyers on some guys and take some risk with guys that maybe they're high velo, but not as good commanded guys. So you got to have a well-rounded staff on both sides of it. And so to me, that's it. So that's why I talk about the intangibles of what kind of person you're getting a lot, because there's so many talented guys. What's going to separate yourself off the field? Is it your grades? Is it your work ethic? Is it how hard you play? I mean, it's still I tell guys all the time, like, if you play really, really hard, you're going to get noticed. And and now you're a really good player that plays really, really hard. To me, I'm like, man, I got to have that guy in my program. And so kind of some of the old school traits that we talked about, growing up, we still try to live on. Obviously we've evolved our recruiting and evolved our looks, because you got to take some of the guys that have the the higher velo or the intangible things. But to me, like at the end of the day, if you can find really good baseball players that know how to win, good chance you're going to keep winning.
That is amazing. And there are people that are going to be listening to this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I would classify the brand of baseball you guys play at Texas State as hard-nosed dirtbags. Like, that is the ultimate compliment, if you ask me. Gamers, dudes that just go. So when I think intangible stuff for a Texas State player, when you say guys that play the game hard, what specifically was to somebody listening out here that's like, man, I want to be like one of those guys. What does it mean to play the game hard to you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, not the false hustle, right? I think there's false hustle out there all the time. You're trying to get noticed for certain things. I just want guys that truly love the game of baseball. When they show up to their 894th game in the summer and it's 200 degrees on that turf, they are still getting after it because they just love to be there, right? They know it could be their last day playing. And for us, same thing when they get here. Like, I want those guys that if it's our 28th day in the fall and they're playing well or not playing well, I just want them to really show up to work every day and just love to go get after it. And so like our shortstop right now, Davis Powell, if you came to our practice, I mean, that dude, I mean, he's going to be the first one to practice and he's going to be the last one to leave. And the whole time he's there, if we're not doing something, he's literally throwing a baseball with somebody, playing pepper. Believe pepper still happens every once in a while,
yeah.
or short hops. I mean, literally the guy will get across on a wall and just throw a ball up against the wall and just pick it by himself. And it's funny how all of a sudden people start seeing that and they start leaking that way towards him, right? And to me, like, that's part of being a leader. But that's the type of guys we want. I want them to show up to the ballpark every day and they can't wait to throw their spikes on and play and get after it. And when they lose, they're crushed, right? Like, I want guys, if we lose a game, like, we want to learn from it, but I want them crushed because they know how important it is to them. And so for me, like, I want to know that every time we put the uniform on, practice or play, that those guys are really excited about putting on a Bobcat uniform. And, you're right. I think for us now, our recruiting has picked up to where we're grabbing some really, really talented guys and guys that we're beating big schools on. But I feel like when you come to Texas State, you still have that edge about you that, maybe you still got to prove people wrong, right? And you still have that edge that you got to show up. That's what I love about my staff, to be honest with you. We were all junior college players and we all played Division I baseball, but we were always those guys that kind of were told, you're not good enough, but we all found a way to get it done. And so hopefully that leaks from our coaching staff to our players as well. And to me, if you can show up on game day with that edge, you've already won 50% of the battle right there showing up.
Gosh, I love that. That fires me up, makes me want to get out there, man. I'm like, and you know what? Hey, what a beautiful time of the season is. What a beautiful time of the year is. Is there a better time of the year, Coach, than I get goosebumps right now. You're a week out from getting out on that field with those beautiful uniforms and it's a new season. Is there a better time of the year than this?
No, there's not. I sleep better at other times in the year, but like I said, it's just, I feel like it's such a long time from, your last game in May or June, and then you wait, 7 months, 8 months until you get to do it again. I just feel like it's forever. And so it's kind of like, you think about college football. I'm a huge college football fan. And so the last game, ended, in January, and now we got to wait this whole time until, when you finally have an off day, you finally get to watch some college football. And so, but yeah, it's a great time of year. Everybody's excited. More importantly, everybody feels like your team's really good, right? How many times I've answered, Coach, how are you going to be this year? And I don't think I've ever asked a coach, they go, we're not going to win a lot of games, right? Everybody's excited, right? So, and so you got to stay healthy. You got to have some luck on your side, and you got to have some guys step up. And so, yeah, it's the best time of year. Outside of June baseball, to me, that's my favorite time of year.
Man, you said it too, because I think of regionals going into super regionals and all that. And I'll say this, my boys, the regional where you guys, was it at Stanford? Was it two years ago? Right. That was a special regional. And that was a special, you're so, I love all of it, Coach. Let me gear it back towards just some recruiting stuff, just for the audience, because listen, the reason why I have guys like you on the show is because you're the source, man. You're the one that it's happening with you guys. So I want your advice, and I want what you have to say for these these parents, these student athletes out there listening. I want to go into. I get an idea of what you're wanting. I want to go into what you're not wanting and the red flags, because I think you mentioned it earlier. The game has definitely changed, and that makes it, recruiting changes. So what are some red flags that you pay attention to and say, that's not quite what we're looking for?
Yeah, I think in this day and age, one of our core values in our program is selfless, and to me, every guy in my locker room was the best player on their team, right? The best player on their high school team, best player on their junior college team, whatever it might be. At some point in time, they were the best player on their team. And if we're truly building this to be a team, that's what I really need inside of our program. And so to me, that's always number one, right? If you're watching a guy and hopefully watch them enough to where they succeed and to where they fail. But to me, that's important to watch how they fail, because it's a game of failure, right? And so I want to make sure that they can handle failure. But more importantly, the days that they're going to have bad days, what kind of teammate are they? Who's the people that even when they have an 0 for 4 day, they still help their team win somehow, some way. Because I think, there's just guys that, they strike out and, they're 0 for 3 with 3 punches and an error and they're struggling and they're sitting in the corner of their dugout and all they're cared about is themselves the whole time, right? Or the pitcher that has a bad outing and he's put his team down 7-1 and he's in the bullpen down on his phone and he's not tweeting that day because he didn't have a good day, right? And so they only tweet when they have good days, And so to me, that's important. What kind of teammate are we bringing in? Because we want selfless people. We never want them to look at the lineup and go, "Oh, awesome! I'm not in the lineup today. I get to hang out." That's never the attitude we want. But we want those guys that the days they're not playing, they've got to help us win. Maybe they pick up a pick move on somebody, or maybe just bring in some energy, or maybe they're the pinch runner late in the game, or whatever it might be. And so to me, we care so much about our culture. You hear that word all the time, but to me, it's something you live out daily, and it's not something you just throw letters on a shirt or on a board and that's our culture. Yeah, we define our culture, but for me, it's how we go about our business every single day is what our culture is. And so to me, we want guys that fit into our culture, and that's a big one for me. Is I want selfless people. It's a very selfish world these days, right? People, it's all about me all the time. And we want selfless people that, I got to find a way to let my team win. If that's me going 4 for 4 that day or throwing a shutout, awesome. You're probably getting recruited because you're playing really well. But what about the days you're not having good days, right? Are you going to be the guy we're always having to talk to about your attitude and your body language and all the things that we preach all the time inside of our mental game? To me, those are important. And then, the other piece of it too is, and I think you talked about the parents a little bit. We want hands-off parents. At our level, we don't deal with parents. I'll tell our players all the time. I want our parents to be our best friends when it comes to on the road and we see them or at home and all the above. But as far as, playing time goes or this or that, like we don't talk about that with parents at our level. And so at the end of the day, like if we're calling a kid on the phone, I want to talk with the kid. If the parents want to be in the background, maybe for the first one or have some questions, maybe after a visit, awesome. Yeah, let's figure it out. But at the end of the day, like we're recruiting and we get to coach the player, not the parents. And so, now you need to ask your kid question and know, hey, because I get some kids are like, hey, Coach Trout called you not, what do you say? Oh, nothing. So the kid anything, right? And so that's on the kid. But, the one that's always trying to call you or always trying to text you and tell you how good his kid is, or more importantly, the guy that, the emails, right? We get emails all the time. Like, let the player read over their email maybe, but let them communicate the email, because I've never taken a dad's advice that his son's the best player on the team, right? But now if the kid texts me, goes, Coach, here's a video of me getting after it, right? Then that's important. Or, hey, call my high school coach or select coach and go, hey, I was the offensive MVP. Let's go check it out. So to me, we want the hands-off parents. I think it's important. Parents, the people that raise them, who we're getting right, we always want to have those conversations. So don't get me wrong on that. But as far as the actual recruitment goes and trying to figure out on the phone who we're talking to and all the above, it's the players recruitment, not the parents recruitment.
Man, I love that. I love that so much. Because I feel like what you're talking, the player you're talking about, you're describing, is one that's accountable. He's accountable to his coaches. He's accountable to his teammates.
Right.
I want to know just your take on. I see a lot of this on social media of, rise and grind. It's 5 a.m. I'm lifting and all that. Me personally, I have my opinions. I'm just like, that's fake. I don't believe. I don't believe that if you have the time to set up a camera, the time to record yourself lifting, the time to edit yourself lifting, and then to post it on Twitter. I don't see that being a dude at your level. Can you talk on that at all to me for our audience?
Yeah, it's interesting. Now, I do think those guys are going to make a lot of money one day because they know how to market themselves and all the above. So, if they're making money off of it in this day and age with all this NIL stuff and the craziness, like good for you. But it's definitely something that, doesn't go, it's not going to pique our attention because you post something every day of you taking swings, right? Like, I don't know. It's just kind of probably the old school in us that we just want to know the guys that work hard. And usually if you promote it sometimes all the time, then you're right. Maybe it comes off a little fake, and you might be the hardest working person out there. So that's kind of the hard part of it a little bit, but it's definitely not the, hey, I saw on, Twitter again, this guy's taking swings again. And I'm like, well, that's awesome. That's cool, but nobody ever, here's my thing though. And this happened in COVID. I thought this was so crazy during the COVID time, right? We're sitting at home, we can't recruit. They're playing all these games, but we can't go out, right? And so we're getting video after video after video. And like, hey, this guy's 92. This guy's 92. That's awesome. But every time I would get a video of the guy, there was a base runner standing at second base. And I never got the video of how did that guy get to second base, right? Did he come with guys in scoring position, or did he, walk three guys and its bases loaded, right? Same thing. You never get the video of the guy that punches out on the breaking ball down and away. You only get the video of having success. So to me, it's probably hard to make a highlight video of yourself failing, but that's the hard part about all the social media is you never get the negative side. You only get the positive side when it comes to guys promoting themselves, as you should be, right? But that's why you can't just go off of social media to determine what kind of player you're getting and also completely what kind of person you're getting.
Man, that is good stuff. Really, really good stuff. Coach Trout, a couple more questions here. Talking with Coach Trout, Texas State. I want to go two more questions for you, Coach. I want to go some specific advice that you have. So listen, we get it. Everybody can't play at your level, and or at that level. But for the advice for the recruits that just, man, they want to continue their career and they want to play at the next level and they're doing it the right way and they're trying hard. What's your advice for recruits that are trying to get your attention or that are trying to get the attention of a coach in general?
Yeah, I feel like we do a good job in all of our high school camps that we have, that we actually sit down and have a recruiting talk within the teams or the whole group that comes, because to me, I think that's part of our jobs is to inform these players on what it takes to play at this level, but more importantly, different avenues to get there, right? And so to me, I think the most important to understand is there's really truly 7 different levels of college baseball out there, right? You got the 4-year schools, you got Division 1, 2, 3, and NAIA, and then JUCO Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. And a lot of people, when I say 7 different levels, they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, go do the research, right? There's a lot of different ways to go play college baseball. And, to get to Division 1, just like myself, I had to walk on to my junior college before, I ended up getting a scholarship there before I ended up playing at TCU, which full circle is why I'm the head coach of Texas State today, and so there's a lot of different ways to get there. It's not just I'm a D1 player, I'm going to go play D1. And so to me, as I tell them all the time, that one, if you work hard, if you love the game and you work extremely hard, it's going to work out for you. You got to find the level that fits you. And so how do you do that? Don't go spend $1 million on all these camps and try out everywhere. Like, have those conversations with your high school and your select coach and go, hey, coach, like, I can't spend $1,000 every summer on just prospect camps. I need to know, like, where does my talent level fit in? And maybe go, to my dream school once just to say you did it and said, hey, I shot my shot and maybe it didn't work out. But if he goes, hey, man, you're more of a, junior college player or more of a, whatever level player, then you can start researching those schools and go, okay, now where would I like to go? And so as I tell them all the time, you got to figure out what level can you play at? Where do you fit in academically? Where can you figure it out financially? And then most importantly, where do you want to wake up every day, right? At the end of the day, like, we play baseball almost every day, but there's days, Saturdays, Sundays, where you're going to wake up, and waking up in San Marcos, Texas is a beautiful place to wake up, right? You got the river running right through the middle of campus, and you're in the hill country. And so, but, where do you want to wake up as a student? And I think that's sometimes the lost art in this recruiting is where do I want to go, live for the next 3 or 4 years of my life? And then more importantly, call it home. I call it, it's not a 4-year decision. It's a 40-year decision. It's a lifetime decision. So figure that out. But And to back to your question, I got started rambling there in my camp speak.
No, it's good stuff.
But for me, it's, you want to find the right spot of where you can have a chance to go play as a freshman. And there's a lot of different avenues to get there. Is if D1's baseball is your end all be all, that's where I want to get to. Like I said, it might take you walking on to a junior college before you develop good enough to get there. And so everybody has their own path. Your best friend's path might be different than yours, or it might be different than your parents' path. And you got to create your own path. But I do know this: if you don't work hard, it's not going to work out for you. And that's what I tell people all the time. If you don't love it, if you don't work hard, you can be the most talented guy out there. Eventually, you're going to get passed up, and it's not going to work out. So if you work hard enough, they can find you a level to go play at. And then what you do with it is what you do with it.
Man, that's great stuff. If from an operational perspective, let's say I'm interested in Texas State and I want to play for Coach Trout and the Texas State Bobcats. How do I go about telling you that I'm interested in you? Do I email you? Do I come to a camp? How do I get it? How do I get that attention?
Yeah, I think there's multiple ways now. And so as I tell them all the time, any D1 program, their emails are going to be on their website. So get on there, shoot them an email. I always say when you shoot an email, like, make it simple, right? Like, obviously, if you're a sophomore or a freshman, we can't respond to you except with the camp flyer. So don't get discouraged. But, if you're a junior or senior and you send an email, like, obviously tell us where you're from, your high school, put your coach's contact information in there, your summer coach's contact information in there. If you got stats, awesome. But, I've gotten stats before and they were not right. They were made up stats. And so any stats or any accolades we get, I'm going to go double check with those coaches and go, hey, is this true, right? Is this guy really, this velo or these numbers or whatever it might be? The beauty of iPhones now, you don't have to do anything crazy to make a highlight video. You can, mom and dad film you right there, and you can plug that in there with some music, and there's your highlight video, right? Obviously, there's people out there that do that for you, which makes it easier for everybody. And so, but add that in there and then send it out. And so, email is a good way. We do get a lot of them every single day. We have to decipher through them. Probably at the least case, you're going to get a camp flyer to try to come to camp. But outside of that, the other parts are, on social media. I think that's a simple way. I prefer people DMing me more than tagging me, because when you get tagged, of course, you get all the likes and all the above. And a lot of times they attach, 10 or 15 other schools as well. And it's like, well, okay, he's just throwing himself out there, which is completely fine. But when a guy sends me a direct message and go, hey, coach, I'm interested in your school. Here's my here's my video. Now I'm like, okay, I'm probably going to be more tentative to watch it because he actually sent it to me. And if he's legal to contact back, then I'll reply and go, hey man, I appreciate you sending that to me. We'll see you down the road. Obviously if he's younger, then I won't respond to him and go from there. But to me, that's even more of the impression of sending it to somebody more one-on-one than the other one. I don't know how many emails I've gotten though that goes, Coach, I would love to go to Texas A&M University and play for you. And I'm like, well, I'm at Texas State though. So obviously
oh my gosh.
You didn't edit the email that you're sending to everybody, which I get, right? You're going to send a bunch of emails, but just take your time, decipher through it. And so those are usually automatic, sends to the trash.
Sure.
But no, that's
wow
when it comes to reaching out.
So. Wow. Good stuff, Coach. All right. Last question I got for you, or last, I guess, comments I want to grab from you, specifically advice for parents. I know you touched on it a little bit earlier, but there's going to be a lot of people out here, a lot of parents out here listening, just trying to do right by their kids. What advice do you have for parents of student athletes going through the recruiting process?
Yeah, I think do your homework. All right. Do your homework. So with internet today, all the resources out there with, recruiting classes and, I get asked all the time, how many guys y'all do you recruit high school compared to junior college, compared to portal? It's all out there, right? All the information's out there on these websites where you can look at recruiting classes and figure that out. I think it's important. I got 2 younger kids that hopefully eventually down the road, maybe they want to go be an athlete and figure it out. But to me, like, I want to make sure who I'm giving trust to my kid to as well, as far as putting the trust in them. They're going to develop them not just on the field, but also off the field. And so what kind of people are going through their program and, kind of where do they end up type thing. And so to me, doing your homework as far as, who you're trusting to take over your child for the next 3 or 4 years and getting after it. And so, and then, on game days in the summers or high schools, like, same thing, like you're representing your kid. And so, how you act in the stands, if you're you're yelling at the umpire every 5 seconds, I'm like, goodness gracious, what are they gonna say to me when I don't play them, right? So you represent your kid. As we tell our guys, you represent our program in everything you do. And so same thing, I want the parents to, represent the kid the same way, or their family to represent the kid the right way, and all the above. But at the end of the day, just do your homework, figure out which programs that you really trust. I do tell people all the time in these showcases you go to, make sure you're getting your bang for your buck. Make sure, if you're going to that school, make sure the coaching staff's actually going to be there to evaluate your kid, right? And what other coaches are going to be there. And so, just make sure you're doing your part to make sure. I get it. The camps are expensive. The tournaments are expensive. It's all expensive. I just went to a gymnastics meeting last night for my daughter, and I'm like, we got to have some more camp. I got to get away because we got to buy more shirts and all this stuff. It's wild. But and so I'm getting into that. So if you're going to put that money into it, make sure you're doing your homework and putting the time in yourself to lead your kid down the right path as well. And trust your coaches, like trust your high school coaches, trust your select coaches, put your trust in them to let them, they're going to lead you down the right path, because there's a lot of really good coaches out there that are going to truly help you, and they're in it for the right reasons.
Man, I love that. Well, Coach Trout, again, I just want to say thank you for, talking to us today and giving us your insight into the world of, college baseball, college recruiting for the time that we had. So I want to thank you. And I want to say this, you can follow Coach Trout on X at Trouty16 and follow Texas State Baseball on X at TX State Baseball. You guys know where to find them. Your kids, you're good. So
I forget it, Tex. I still got Twitter. See, I've still got old score in me. So what?
Yeah, hey, I transitioned to the X like a week ago. So any parting words for our audience, Coach?
Yeah, no, just love college baseball. Love guys like yourself that try to promote it. I'm a big fan of college baseball. It's a beautiful time of the year, as you talked about. But to me, it's such a fun sport, and we're about to go on a minimum 14-week ride, and it's as fun as it gets. And so I'm excited for it. Just all the game days experiences, the fans, the crowds. And you're exactly right. Like I grew up as a kid. That's why I got into college baseball, is because of regional, super regionals, and eventually Omaha. And I've never been there, and that's the goal. Every day we wake up. And so it's a beautiful sport, and can't wait to get this going next week.
Hey, awesome, Coach. Hey, we'll be pulling for you. This audience is going to be pulling for you. Good luck with the 2024 season, and thanks again, Coach Trout.
Awesome, Ross. Appreciate you.
All right, take care. I want to thank Coach Trout for taking some time to talk with us today. Go give him a follow on X at Trouty16, and be sure to follow his Texas State baseball team on X at TX State Baseball. You can watch Texas State open the season against Youngstown State this weekend on ESPN Plus, and we wish the Bobcats the very best for the 2024 season. I'm your host, Ross Hawley, and on behalf of the Showcasing College Baseball podcast, I want to thank you for listening. Be sure to follow the Showcasing College Baseball group page on Facebook, or visit us at collegerecruitprep.com for more of our podcasts and content. We will see you next time.